Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to the ZiaWoolz StudioBuzz podcast. We are now at episode 25. Wow. And I just recently realized that I missed my podiversary. It was in June or July. Crazy. Time just flew by. And here we are, it's October. What in the world? Well, but enough of that. Let's get started. I hope that the light works out. I've been watching the sun and the clouds, and there were more clouds, but I'm just hoping that it's going to work out and that I'm not a black silhouette in front of my beautiful mountains. Let's just give it a try. So, episode 25, a lot to talk about. Super fun stuff has happened, as you all know. And I am just still so full of the experience of my Isabel Kramer workshop, as you can imagine. So for those who are new to the podcast, I have just participated in a Knit New Mexico retreat where we had the honor of having Isabel Kramer as our teacher. And you know, to me, she's one of the world's top knitwear designers, extremely knowledgeable. Plus, on top of that, it's very much what I like in knitwear: simple, classy lines and great fit, and you know, nothing too crazy in colors. It's just, I shouldn't say that because I do love color, but whatever. It was just this, yeah, we had 2 days, 2 fun-filled days with Isabel here in town, and our group was just perfect. We had super nice friends come in from in town and from really far away. And if they were not friends by the time we started, they were friends by the time the workshop ended. What a beautiful group it was. And I can say that I was the lucky host of Isabel. She was just a wonderful person to be around, just super pleasant company. And like I said, in regards to the class, just extremely knowledgeable, just a wonderful teacher. I have had, like I said, friends come in from out of town, among them a friend from Oregon who brought her friend who was super sweet, and also Debbie and Amy, Periscoping sisters, who shared an apartment with with one local friend, I mean local as in New Mexico local, and another friend from not too far away from Colorado, whom I've known for a few years from Instagram. And I have to say, I mean, I met, I didn't even ask if I'm allowed to say their names, but one of them I met before the workshop started. We very much connected. And the other friend from Colorado, it was just all that I expected. Just such wonderful women to be around and to spend time with. And it was just great that we had an extra day or 1.5 extra days to spend together before the workshop started. And so We had actually some fun in the studio. I had a special surprise. One evening we just chilled and cooked together, and the next day I said, come on, let's dye some yarn together. And I mean, Amy, by the way, of the Periscoping Sister, I had never met in person before, and goodness, Debbie and Amy, to spend time around them together was just such a treat. And oh goodness, those days went by way too fast. So we spent the day before where we dyed some yarn, and that's why I remembered that I hadn't met Amy in person before, because she was the only one in the group who had already dyed yarn before. So, but everyone else, it was, oh no, I'm lying, Debbie I dyed yarn with the last time she visited Albuquerque. I forgot. Yes. So that was our fun, but also that was just some, I have to show you something which you need to see, because that was, I mean, we exchanged gifts, and it was just, yeah, very, I mean, as you know, gift giving among knitters, we're just, you know, really usually very good at it. And so but there's something that actually would be available for you all out there. And if you're in the market for some great accessories for knitters, I just have to show you these. And one of them is my pattern minder, and the designer is my friend's business called Melodies Designs. This is it. And this is the one that I have gotten. So I was so lucky I got it as a gift. So you open it and you pop it up, kind of like one of those lightweight iPad covers, or like a laptop, and then you plop it back and it stays like this, and you can keep it on the table, and you can mark your spot or hold it in place with a ruler with a magnet, and also with two separate little magnets. I don't think I have mine on there next to it. And so that, how cool is that? And she picks the nicest fabrics. So I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I'm showing this without really knowing whether she has them in the shop right now, but her shop is on Etsy. And so I hope there are some. Excuse me, sneeze attack. So I'm hoping that these are, I know she's talked about putting these in her shop online, but so this is the one thing I got from her. But here's the other thing that will blow your mind. Wait for it. Oh my goodness. So all of the ones she had recently made are sold. They all sold at the retreat, and I knew they would, because they are just super amazing. Because what you do, you kind of keep all your stuff in there upright. You can put in needles, and there's a metal ring where I've attached some little stuff, stitch markers and whatnot. And here, when you're done and you need to move the thing, you just pull the string and you close it and you're done. I mean, you're ready to go. How amazing is this? I was just really, I just love this so much. So Melody, I hope you hear your praise again, because there cannot be enough praise for this. And thank you so much again for this generous and sweet gift. Wow. Sadly, these are only available right now in her shop as a do-it-yourself article. Right now you can purchase the PDF instructions in her Etsy shop. And I believe she's working on kits. She was talking about offering those. So get yours. And since we're talking about the retreat, and I'm just waving the bag, see this pin? Because at this point, I want to thank all of our sponsors. We had a few people which generously sponsored the retreat. One of them being Fancy Tiger Crafts, where we got this super cool pin. And also thank you, Melissa from Knitty by Nature, who, I think I have them already in my project. Yes, I do. She sponsored our retreat with beautiful stitch markers, and also Crave Yarns with the designer Alyssa Latucci. I hope I'm saying it right. They are located in Santa Fe, and they sponsored us with a discounted pattern and yarn kit, which was super sweet. And by the way, if you remember, I recently showed 2 hat patterns by Alyssa, which I had purchased because I want to make them, and I got to meet Alyssa in person. Sadly, the owner of Crave Yarns, Amor, wasn't able to come, but I got the chance to meet Alyssa, who is a super sweetheart, because we had this last day, a little party get together at our house here, and she was invited. I mean, both of them were invited because they're just, it's not too far, just about an hour from Albuquerque, and they Amor couldn't come, but Alyssa joined us, which was really nice. And I also at this point wanted to thank our organizer, Lauren. Lauren is the founder of Knit New Mexico, the company who was the one who invited Isabel Kramer and organized everything and prepared everything. And our location was just wonderful. It was a local organic farm, just such a scenic place to be at. And yeah, and Lauren's motto is go big or go home, and that's all I'm saying, because she's already planning the next retreat for 2018. I'm hoping that she will set up an email list where you can sign up for her newsletter or something like that, so you don't miss this, because I know that a few friends, I know one of my friends from Colorado and also a local friend, were not able to get into the retreat because they found out too late about it. So the email list would be the best way to do this, I'm thinking. But I will be, I mean, it's probably going to be another year before this is going to happen. And by then there's going to be a lot of fine tuning and improvements and whatnot. There were a few bumps here and there, which hopefully will be fixed by then. The last but not least, of course, my big thank you goes to Isabel Kramer. To me, it was, I feel like, wow, who are we? New Mexico. It's such a tiny state in this big country, and who are we in comparison with Vogue Knitting, New York or San Francisco? But still, she was gracious enough to agree to coming here, and it was just, it turned out to be such a valuable experience for all of us who had the chance to meet her and to spend the time with her and to learn from her. We had people in the class that are at all kinds of levels. I have a friend of mine who was little nervous because it was very advanced for her, but she's rocking it now. She's on that sweater. Others who are very accomplished knitters and still got a lot out of it in regards to sweater construction and different ways that you can approach a sweater. Which reminds me that I brought you one thing that we made in the class, which was an example where we had to prepare something, and then the in the class we continued and talked about how this is done and what this does to a sweater if you make it like this, and about sleeves and such. So I wanted to put this on my doll, but it did not fit right because the doll's shoulder, I mean, it's not my doll, people. It's my daughter's doll, which I stole from a bin because she doesn't care for it anymore. But it's a German doll and it's beautiful. So now it's kind of mine. That's how it works. So that doll's shoulders are too narrow, and I thought that's not right, you know, because all it was about was to make a sweater really fit, and how do you do that? And so fitting means it sits on the shoulders, and this is where the arms drop, which of course it doesn't do when the doll's shoulders are only this wide. Yes, and yes, it had one red shoulder because all of my little homework pieces had to have a different color out of just pure fun, but I did not know that these two would be going into the same project. But it's fine. I think it's cute. ZiaWoolz Mesa that I used for the Lemmy K shawl, and this is ZiaWoolz Chama, the Bee-Buzz colorway that I used for my beeswax hat, which I also showed last time. Both of them I showed last time. So our little class thingy. So, of course, I have started my sweater. I don't even know. Goodness gracious. What did I do with the pattern? I did not bring the pattern, but that's okay because it is the Emory Sweater. Emory Sweater, which is, it has a saddle on the shoulders and then inset sleeves that are knitted right away. I mean, you knit it all top down, all in one piece, and it's extremely fancy. And I am using extremely rustic yarn, as I had told you before. I don't even know what's a good way to show you this because it's not much to see, people. That's how I roll. I worked on something else too. So, oh no, it's supposed to go this way, of course, so you can see my gorgeous shrinky-dink project keeper. I mean, progress keeper. Ah, thank you, Melody. Another gift from Melody. She's awesome. So, yes, as you see, this has to be the front because it's lower. And this is the back neckline in the back where it's a little bit higher. And I am just about where the sleeves are worked. I started doing that, but I still have a good while to go before I can separate sleeves and body. Because I just had to knit on those Halloween socks because Halloween is coming. And I squeeze them into this ever so tiny Halloween bag. I'm not even calling this a project bag because it's really not big enough for a project. It says, witches, undies, scary, screamy, have a happy Halloweeny. Yeah, I love this fabric. I think I found that on Etsy a few years ago, and I tried to get more, but it's just impossible. My sock. So, if you're in the market for Halloween yarn, because I have some in the shop right now, I did not bring it here, but I will show you in the ball how it looks like wound up. And then I would recommend, if you want to buy it and you want to be surprised, look away. Okay, I'll warn you before I show it. This is the yarn. Lots of neon speckles. And attention, here come the socks. I made shorties because then I get them done faster and can wear them faster. Okay, look away. I left my sock blockers inside. So one is finished. As usual, 64 stitches, 2.5 millimeter needles, my zings, and a heel flap and a gusset. And I probably have about 30 more rows here only until I can start the toe decreases. So going strong on these. So don't look yet, but just for reference, look at this. I promise, one time I squeezed one sock in the bag. Really, I did it. But the needles, of course, they were poking out on one side. So that is this. And all of you who are thinking about getting the Halloween yarn and did want to be surprised, the socks are gone. You can look. So, oh my goodness, I forgot to show you something in relation to the retreat. So I talked about all the sponsors, but one of the things that I did, and it was not a sponsor thing, I gifted everybody a little fat mini skein, but this was something that I did, which was my job for the retreat. I designed a special colorway for all the participants, and but the reason I brought it over is not to make you sad, but to tell you that this will be the prize for one of you who's participating in the knit along, which with the hashtag LilaLuLove 2018, which ends on October 31st. So get your entries in there if you finished something, and there will also be a prize in the chatter thread, where I will draw a winner from all the people who were kind of showing their in-between yarn choices and stuff like that. But here we go. Here's the yarn that I dyed in that custom colorway. Ever so slight speckles and a grayish blue, and which to me, I just like Isabel Kramer's designs. As you know, I've been knitting them kind of always, something on the needles, and so I know her aesthetic, and I don't think she's ever used speckled yarns for any of her projects, but I felt that these are her colors, and yeah. I'll see what I haven't decided yet. I got a skein too, so I haven't decided yet what I'm going to make. I may add a few more skeins and actually make a garment out of this. I'm not sure yet. Not decided yet. So what I have today is a beverage, which is melting away. It's coffee, because I usually get so tired when I talk. It's really weird. So what is next? Next is what I have finished, because you probably guess it. It is my seagrass shawl. A snag. No. How did this happen? Sometimes the cats lay on this stuff. I bet your pets do that too. It's my own fault that I don't put stuff away. So here it is. Can you see? Yes, you can. It's, again, nice and big. Goes far over the shoulders. I usually wear them like this. I told you that before. So, like I said last time, I have made it bigger. Sound familiar? I do tend to do that. All of this is changed up a little bit from here to the cast off. And in this section, I think you were supposed to do a garter section, probably not, also not as wide as I made the mesh, but just to here, I'm thinking. And I haven't mentioned, I used 3.5 millimeter needles, and this is ZiaWoolz yarn, and that's where the beautiful drape comes from. It's a 50-50 silk merino blend, and the yarn is called Santa Fe. So because of the edge, what I did, because the edge, every right side row started a different way in all the mesh sections. So I just counted through my stitches and kind of divided them up by pattern repeat, and that's how I figured out, like, say this had 20 repeats, 20 rows, that's each started differently. And by just counting out the stitches, I figured out that I needed to start with right side row number 8. It was really nothing complicated to figure out. So I did the full amount of rows in this section that was done in the other mesh sections. Then I added, as it was done before, another stripy section. Also all the rows that were done previously in the other stripy sections. And then I ended with the speckled colorway Boomtown. And here I knitted until I ran out of yarn, pretty much. I mean, I kind of eyeball measured. So what I did was, I am not an exact person. So what I did was, like, I had my ball of yarn next to me. Then I went like a full length of arm extended, and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, pulled from the ball a length of yarn. I laid that next to me, and then I took note if that was enough for one row or not. Of course, the cast off row was going to take a lot more yarn, but still I was very, very much playing yarn chicken and ended up with this much yarn left. But it worked. I did it. It was really one of those hooray moments. Super nice. So another beautiful shawl done and ready to be put away until I can actually wear it. which reminds me, I'm going to go to Taos Wool Festival this weekend, and if you are going and you see me, please do say hi if we haven't met in person. Of course, if we have met in person, also say hi. I am going, as I did last year, with a group of friends, and we have rented a little house, and it's going to be, it's for all of us. It is this getaway and breathe deep time away from family, which family is not the part that's hard at times, but it's more like all the requirements around family life, like cooking and laundry and whatnot needs to be done. So we're leaving on Friday, and we will, which is actually tomorrow, and we will stay until Sunday. And on Sunday also I will have a pop-up shop at a local yarn store at Mooncat Fibers, where I'm really excited. I mean, it's always fun as a dyer when you go to these events where, I mean, at first, of course, it's a lot of work in the previous weeks, and it can get quite exhausting at times. I'm not complaining, not at all, because I have such a nice studio where I can work, and when I'm done for the day. I just drop everything and I go away. I don't need to clean. I don't need to wipe up spills. I don't need to put away anything. It's not in the way of anybody, except for I have to make a kind of like need to keep a trail open for my daughter. That's the garage that she comes in through at night, and she usually, well, she doesn't complain when I kind of block her way a little bit with drying racks of the yarn, but she does complain. Sometimes she says, I don't know how you stand it. This smell. But I have to say, I don't mind at all. I love the smell of sheepy woolly, wet wool. It is actually what you smell. So, yeah, so much about that. And, yes, I have started a new project. How did you guess? Remember I showed you the orange beginning of a shawl where I was not so sure. So I just took the needles out and put it in a chest, but I then all of a sudden I was thinking of another pattern in my queue, and I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to knit. And oh, that's the yarn that I'm going to use. Oh yes, perfect. All of this I'm going to do. So what I thought of was, I decided I'm going to make the Perfect Retreat Shawl by Susan B. Anderson. So I buy the pattern, and I'm thinking, well, I can't knit another Lemmy K. I've had enough Lemmy Ks. Okay. But it has a funny ending, because I looked over the pattern of the retreat shawl, and I don't know. I think what gave, I have to tell you, I think what gave me the idea was that I saw someone at Taos Wool Festival last year who was wearing that shawl. And all of a sudden I pulled that piece of information out of my subconscious. And I think that's why I decided to buy that pattern. But when I looked at the instructions, I saw that the shape, and there is no schematic, so I don't know. But it must be that way. With the way the increases are done, I think, you know, if you compare the Lemmy K that has a top edge, straight edge, this shawl would end up with because more, just plain and simple, more increases are done. So I think you have this kind of like a V shape. And I don't know, I didn't want that, but I liked the lace bit on the bottom, and so I decided I will do a combination, a mashup of the Lemmy K and the Perfect Retreat Shawl. And it lives, of course, in this bag. And I'm saying of course because I will tell you, I tell you when you'll understand when I tell you where the yarn comes from. It comes from an alpaca. And I know these are llamas, but so here is my yarn. And I have, it's a great, it's a quite a bit of yarn. And in fact, I initially had planned to make a cardigan. It's another long story. I planned to make a cardigan. I know I showed you that pattern, but then I realized I'm not going to have enough yardage because alpaca fibers are slightly heavier than wool. So 4 ounces of alpaca spun the same way as 4 ounces of wool will yield in less yardage than the wool would give you. So then I looked for another pattern, another cardigan where I thought, oh, here I can vary the sleeve length and the length on the bottom. It's a nice pattern, but still, I wanted the yarn for the shawl. And I have started, like I said, I'm working it like the Lemmy K. This is going to be the top edge. And I am using I think I was supposed to use 5mm needles, but I tried and I actually started with 5mm, and then I thought, this can very well use a little more air, because with a fuzzy yarn, it's okay when your fabric has a little more holes and is a little more open, because the fuzz is gonna fill in. In fact, it's a good thing because that way your yarn can open up and breathe a little more. So I'm thinking that was smart because now I really like the fabric. And the cool thing was also that the fiber came from a local farm, and the alpaca's name was Zia. It was kind of funny because I picked the fiber and then I heard about the name of the alpaca, and it was kind of, yeah, magic, had to be. So the farm is up north, almost in Santa Fe. And they're extremely knowledgeable about their alpacas. And I bet you could Google them and find out if you can stop by. I know they have a little shop. They have like kind of like a mini barn set up where they have yarn and I don't know what else. Can't remember because I bought at it was kind of like this fiber tour. Again, it was in May and last year, and so they had everything out and they were giving you extra information about their animals. So that's the new shawl. Careful not to wiggle the table. And I have 2 more things. I have done some pathetically bad sewing, but I still brought it to show you because everybody loves it so much and nobody looks at my crappy sewing and everybody just loves the product. It is something that I've meant to make for a long time. And I had that idea for a while, and it's a case for my cable needles. So I see where they are because I don't use them a lot. So when I need them, I don't find them. That's what I did. And I just, for the clear, used some heavy-duty clear plastic that I had kept from the bedding. You know how bedding, pillows and stuff like that, they come in these heavy-duty plastic bags, zippered plastic bags, and that's what I used. I kept some. I have had it for a while, and I used for the back, I used some iron-on, some stiff iron-on stuff. Yeah, I like it. In fact, I made two, and I showed my daughter, and she loved it so much she immediately wanted one as well, and she took the other one, which is not sewn in any way better as this one, but she still wanted it. She didn't mind either. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, usually I mention the knit along, but I've already done that. So today I finally brought my blankets that I have meant to show you for a while. And let me start with this guy, which is my corner to corner crochet blanket. And it's been a while that I've shown you all of these. In fact, because I haven't worked on them, that's when I don't show them. But this one, by now, I have started the second corner. So, it's about my wingspan, roughly. And my motto was to make this my happy blanket. So I wanted to use all the bright colors, but you're gonna say, wow, but you have some really dark ones in there. And I ended up doing that. Yeah, here is a black. There's dark browns also, but those darker colors just help to make the other ones pop more. So I have not worked on any of my blankets, but I thought I'd show them. Because you wanted to see them. Oh, I'm trying to fold this, but of course I fold one side and the other one pops open again. I am working on this with all fingering yarns, either leftovers from what I've dyed, leftovers from projects, stuff like that. And my crochet hook is a German one with the number, goodness, I saw that. That's a 3. Yeah. This guy lives in this beauty. Sheep lining. One of my bags in one of my favorite sheep fabrics that my friend Doris brought me a good while ago from Germany. So you viewers in Germany, you may know that. And see, it all fits in still. And on the bottom, I have thrown in all the mini leftover yarns and whatever I have, or part of it that's supposed to go in here. And what else? I meant to tell you something else. Oh yes, I have, when you see my miter square blanket, that one I take note of all the yarns because I want to be able to find a certain yarn again if I fall in love with something very, very much and I want to track it down to buy more. I keep track of all the yarns because I got a lot of minis and from swaps. This one, however, the crochet one, I decided I will only use whatever comes to my mind or into my hands or whatnot. I'm sure the Halloween yarn will also go in there soon. My mitered squares one lives in a beautiful fat squirrel bag. That took me some time to get this bag. I think I had missed one of her updates, but I had seen the bags on Instagram on her feed, and this is just so beautiful. I love this fabric. And I mean, Amy Beth's bags are just amazing anyways. So these are the needles I use. Relatively short straights, 3 millimeters. And this is the pathetically small state of this thing compared to what my mother makes, who, by the way, I booked her just today. So she's going to be back in November. We're going on a trip around Thanksgiving, taking her along. But then she's going to be here again. And of course, I will bring her on the podcast again. We'll see what she's going to work on this year. Socks as always, for sure, but I don't know what else. So here's mine. So the funny thing is, by the way, I mean, my mother has made 2 of these. Yes, it's no lie. In the time that I have taken for this, which is okay because I do a lot of other stuff and she only does socks in between. What's so interesting is we used to knit identical in terms of our tension, but now I want to say her squares, while she does the same stitch count, her squares are about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch larger than mine. It's funny how this changed over the years. Probably my tension got tighter, hers got looser. So I could not have her finish this blanket, which is probably a good thing because I might be tempted to have her do that. There's really nice yarns in here. Oh, look at this. Oh. Wait, this way. Ah, there's Jinx in there, Laura, who quit dyeing. Oh my goodness, that is so... I'm sad because Laura of Jinx Yarns and the Dyer's Notebook podcast, she's really my dyeing hero. She is, and she has so generously shared her knowledge about dyeing in her podcast. And which reminds me, someone has asked about whether I would do dyeing tutorials, and I do not plan to do that. It's just, for me, I feel like I put in the extra time to make the German episode. I mean, I don't mind doing things, but right now with I just wouldn't be able to produce something that has a good quality. And there's other people who have done great episodes. For example, Laura Jinx Yarns, the Dyer's Notebook book, or Nicole of You Loco has also done dyeing tutorials. And for the German viewers, I know that there have been just recently some German-speaking new podcasts on YouTube about dyeing. So I am sorry, I won't do it. Hope you understand. Okay, that is the mitered square blanket, and like I said, I keep track of my colors. I have this little notebook, and what I do is I number my squares, and I work one row up, then I'll work one row horizontal, and I alternate. So this is how it grows, sideways and upward. And yes, and everything gets a number, and then I write down what they are, because I would not in 1,000 years remember. Of course, I'd remember some of my own colorways, but yes. So, but here's the one that you have not seen. That is my third blanket, which it's very embarrassing because I have not worked on it for so long. But every time I pull it out, I take a look at it, I think it's so gorgeous. I should totally continue to work on this, and I will, I promise. I have a lot of yarn too that I have set aside, because whenever I came upon something that I thought was the right weight, I just got it and threw it in the bin, and you can use all sizes. It's a Hexagon blanket. And I love the blankets where you can make these little pieces and then you stack them all up and put them in a box. But this is so neat because you join as you work the blanket. In the very last round, you connect the motifs, which is pretty brilliant. There is no pattern per se. I had a picture from the internet. It's called Hexagon, and this is what I did. I kind of figured it out myself. I hope you can see this. It's kind of hard to see for me, if you can see it. So, yep, that's what I was working from. And where I currently am on this, what I work with is in a clear bag, but then I have a lot more yarns in a bin to dig into. And as you can see, I do not have a set plan. Some of these are just leftovers, some of them are remnants that I bought somewhere. And I used to do some knitting and felting, so I still had leftover yarns from that, but I just try to be not too stark and dark and too contrasty in my color choices. And that's that. And this is the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. Whoopsie, sorry I shook you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by again. Thank you for, yeah, as always, for subscribing, for commenting, for saying hi on Ravelry. And I look forward to seeing you again in a few years. In a few weeks, and then I will tell you about Taos Wool Festival, and hopefully I will have some more things going on the needles and some fun stuff to show you. And until then, I wish you happy knitting. Bye bye.